We are bringing Kato's Confessions in 3, 2, 1. You're listening to the Guardian Hub.
You're listening to the Guardian Hub.
You're listening to the Guardian Hub.
You are listening to the Guardian Hub. The best
hub on the net.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to episode 265 of the Guardian Hub podcast, where we talk about Destiny and the final shape. How's everyone doing tonight? I know it's been a couple weeks, but we have a jam-packed show tonight. But knowing us, we'll still go through it pretty quickly. We got who do we got in the chat tonight? We got upper left Rodimus Prime with what's that dude name?
Tiger King.
In the background? Tiger King. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Harold Baskin.
We got me, Kingsley Mac, with the Pantheon poster in the background. We got RNGGator. How you doing, man?
Doing good.
We got Sin Media back from vacation.
Live and something cut.
Filtered.
Mm-hmm.
Live and unfiltered. Love it.
And uncut. Are you cut or uncut? Anyways, and we got Kato.
It's not after dark yet.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it's not after dark yet. And welcome everyone in the chat. If you have any comments for us about how you think about final shape or whatever, feel free and write in the live, and we will talk about that. But hey, let's just get right into it because we have a lot to talk about tonight. And I know that some of this might be like, oh yeah, we didn't. It seems like 2 weeks now because we didn't record right away, but we need to give at least some basic impressions. We've been busy. We've been playing, and we've been having fun, I assume. And then we've been, Rodimus, have you even been having fun in Destiny? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the season. I think they've knocked it out of the park. I think some of this stuff is hard, but it's good. It's a good hard. It's not like you can't get like cakewalk through it, like some of the previous content where it's like, okay, I'm done. What do I do next? They've packed us full of a bunch of stuff. So,
yep. Anyone else? Just first impressions, and then we'll go into details. Like if you had to rate it, or just how you think. Happy.
There's a
8
lot.
out of 8.5.
0.5?
Yeah, that's what I would say. 8.5, 9 out of 10 for me. I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, I would definitely say a 9 out of 10. It's pretty good.
I'd give it a 9. If it was just the first week, I would say 8.5 maybe. But definitely a 9 with everything we're kind of seeing right now. With the second.
Well, they definitely got points taken off for their failed launch as normal. So.
Sure. And that is actually one of the first things on my list. I have a whole list of just kind of going history here of when things came out, what happened. So it came out on day one, and they definitely had some issues. Now, let me tell you what actually happened, because some people thought it was down all day, which wasn't true, but it was pretty rough for many hours. When it first came out, it was down for about 2.5 hours. Some people were getting in. A few people were getting in, but we found out afterwards it was load balancers had failed. So probably what happened was it's not like they technically didn't have the servers, and we can go into blame here in a second, but I find this interesting from a technical standpoint, but it was not routing people to additional servers. That's what load balancers do. So a few people were in, and then like no one else was in for like 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I was in. A lot of people were in fairly smooth, actually, until about 5, 6 Eastern, when people start getting home from work. This always happens, but it was worse this time, probably because of the load balancer issues from earlier. I have some guesses what happened. I'm curious what RNG thinks too, also being in IT. But evening comes along. It was pretty rough. Like we were kind of playing, but whenever you tried to do something, it would just error out, error out. If you're in something, it usually would let you stay, but it was a little bit touch and go. So like, I remember trying to load a mission. We have to do this weird thing where you go down to the map, try it 5 times, maybe you'll get down, and then go to the flag, and then you try to do that, but that's probably not going to work either. So it was definitely rough, and then they restarted. They found one other thing to fix, and they restarted all the servers about 11 or 12 Eastern. I don't know the exact time. And then after that, it was smooth. Yeah, live update. Kato is in the path of a major storm right now, so we definitely wish him well. Hopefully no power issues or worse.
So far, so good. Just
Okay.
lots of rain, wind, and some hail.
But still, you posted in the chat a picture, or you got the red on you right now.
Mhm.
If it's
Okay,
moving
so-
west to east, if it's moving west to east, you're in trouble. If it's moving south, you might not have to be in it as long.
It's kind of west to east.
Okay,
Oof.
yeah, that's gonna suck.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's moving southeast, but it's kind of slow.
Gotcha.
Probably another.
I'd sit on you some, yeah.
Yeah. Should
All
be
right,
out of
so-
it within an hour.
I'm curious what happened here, because this clearly wasn't like they didn't have enough servers, but it was, I'm guessing it was some stupid human error. They've had layback or layoffs, everything like that.
Or
And
Steve.
yeah, right. Like, I feel like there was even probably something leading up. They had that Sony leak like a few days before, and they had to like shut off a server for that. And I feel like they probably just didn't double check everything after that to make sure the load balancers were back on, or something was like, I bet it was just some stupid human error thing. And here's what I guess what happens too. Like, if you don't have the automation scripts set up correctly for the load balancers to work, they were probably scrambling. I'm curious what you think, RNG, like manually turning on servers, because they probably had no other way to quickly fix it. And that's going to take a lot of time. And then
I feel like I feel like there was a routing issue. Something wasn't routing traffic the right way.
yeah, and it's really
commands
unfortunate
wasn't working.
because the last couple of expansions were smoother than this. Now, we have had as bad before. I feel like Forsaken or something was pretty bad also, even worse. People probably don't remember that anymore, but this one was a little more rough than normal.
Yeah, I don't think DNS something wasn't routing correctly, so it wasn't. When a server filled up, it wasn't routing to another server, and like it should have, even though they
Yeah.
were there. Something wasn't talking between them.
It just sucks because I know on day 2 there was as much people as there was on day 1, and if they could have just not had those load balancer issues, because they had enough servers, but yeah.
I mean, at my point, the way the problems they were having, I just would have been like, "Hey, let's roll the servers and take it down."
They should have done that way earlier,
Yeah,
because when they finally
what I
did that
felt
late
like.
at night, yep.
There's no way at my job if that was happening, you could do that. If
go
we
that
were
long,
down like
yeah.
that, they would literally be like, "That's it, we're rebooting the core or something."
Did any of you all try? Yeah, Sin, you're on vacation. Rodimus, I think you tried a little bit. Kato, like, try the first
Well,
day.
I went on like a
for-
45-minute rant. So
Um, I had some issues when I finally got on that evening, but yet again, it was prime time for everybody else to be getting off work and home and jumping on. So
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of issues. I think it probably took me maybe like 20 minutes to get in, and it was I could get into orbit, and then when I went to launch something, it would disconnect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was
So
no one really had long queues after that first 2-hour time, but the servers weren't balancing, because you would get in, but then there's disconnects. So
I mean, my son, he was at 1:00. He was trying to get in. I think it was. I was working till 5 from home that day. It was after 4:00. He still wasn't in. He tried for like 4 hours to get in, could not get connected. Restarted his game, everything. It was not letting him in.
Yeah, I was all day on vacation trying to get in, and it was on and off. Finally got in to get booted out to the main screen, and then not be able to get back in again.
Yeah.
yep. Well, at least things are working smoothly now, and from late the first day and then on, it's been good. All right. Initial story impressions. Excellent story. I mean, there's 7 missions. We don't have to go into like all the details. However much you guys want to talk about, it's great. I just want to say right off though, I freaking love the story all in all. And this has been going on for a while, but there's something about maybe just because we've done it so many times now, or maybe this one's a little bit different, but we're all really noticing this time around the damage gates are getting a little old. Don't you all think? On these bosses.
Very much so.
Yes.
Was it different this time, or was it just because we've done it so many times we're just really getting sick this time around?
No.
To me,
it was different this time.
Yeah, to me, it's the damage gates of 3 times. It's like a quarter damage gate, another quarter damage gate, and then the final. It wasn't like, hey, half damage gate, the other half done. It was like they did that to me to like prolong the fight, and you didn't really need to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if other expansions in recent history, they certainly had some damage gates, but maybe it was more just on like final bosses and things like that. But it kind of, all in all, that doesn't have too many points knocked off for me. But I was really noticing that, especially running the story again. I think people have mentioned this before too. If you run it on Legend, that can really kind of break up the story more. I always like to run the story first on normal, just so I get a feel for like the story, like the talking, the cutscenes, like really quick all together. And then I go back in Legend. But I could see like some people, they're just playing solo and don't have as much experience in the game yet, and they do Legend as their first run through. Not only is it harder, but then just with some of the issues, and let's say they can only do like a mission or 2 a night. I'm curious what those people would think. Do they rate the story as good? Or even maybe better? Maybe they like to just think about it some before they move on to the next one. But for me, I wouldn't like that. I just kind of like to get through the story quickly.
Are we talking story or gameplay for the story? Because like the story in itself is
Both.
great, but
Mhm.
the damage gating was
The
a little
game.
much.
Do you feel like that made the gameplay mixed with the story kind of like, so you didn't like it as much?
I still love the story. Don't get me wrong, the story was awesome, but the gameplay, like the damage gates were like, really? Okay, well, whatever, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But that being
Yeah.
said, for me, I loved it. Like the environments were amazing, much more colorful and interesting. I guess we'll get into this. They told us that when we get to the Pale Heart and see all these locations, things are going to look similar, and we can complain, oh yeah, reused assets or whatever. But whatever they did this time was way better than any of reused assets. Even though there's things that are familiar, they did a perfect job of making them seem unfamiliar at the same time and interesting to us all.
Yeah. And I think as far as the story beat's concerned, I had noticed a lot of text in game, like what you're running now was prior. I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but it was something to the effect of like this happened before the final shape or something to that regards, like when you were running, strikes. And just like some of the in-game story cues that they had there were on point, I think, this time around compared to every other time.
I don't know how I feel about running the lost sectors in the story. When it first came up, I'm like, oh man. But they were really good lost sectors. But you like that, Sin, having the lost sectors in as the story?
Lost sectors, I mean, that I think it's a great way to incorporate aspects of the area into the entire experience.
Yeah.
So for me, it was okay. Yeah.
And they included it in the story. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't. At least they did a really good job. I remember, like in the Moon expansion, what was that called?
Shadowkeep.
Yeah, that one was horrible. They're like, go off and do this thing, and it didn't even really seem to be much in the story. It was just like a text line saying, go off and do this thing. But at least with the Lost Sectors, there was like voice lines, and they're all integrating it together. All right, anything else on the story comments?
I don't know what I missed.
Yeah.
How you feel about the story?
Any other comments you want to make on that?
Story was good. Damage gauge on the boss. Just to me, it really interrupted how the story played.
Yeah.
Like previous expansions, we've had damage gates, but it wasn't as many. It seemed like there were so many damage gates this expansion.
A lot.
Did seem like
Like
it.
every single boss encounter had a damage gate or 3.
And sub boss, and remember these.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these missions have like 2 or 3 encounters each.
Yeah.
Hell, even
Yeah,
like
that's
the
what I
public
said.
event bosses are fucking damage gated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the overthrow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that some too. Let's move to Prismatic next because we start playing with Prismatic right away, which is really cool. I'll tell you, I don't remember how much I maybe mentioned on the podcast before, but it was one of these things. I was like, I don't know what to think. I wasn't like down on the idea, but I wasn't like, I don't know if I'm convinced I'm going to use Prismatic. But boy, I have not switched off it. And there's been some pretty good builds on Warlock, and I hear the other Titan Hunter have really good builds too. So Prismatic, do we like it? Are we staying on it for now?
I haven't gone back from it myself since I started.
Same.
I love my build.
I haven't
Yeah.
really played with the builds yet. I just run with the axes. That's all I really care about right now.
But even if you're not getting to like all the fragments and builds with like mods and armor, even just like being able to mix and match the abilities and the grenades and the aspects and everything, that's what I'm even getting at too. It's just so cool. I mean, on my Warlock, I'm doing Phoenix Dive. I got Helion, so that's the thing where when you dive, you get a solar buddy. Super powerful. Storm Grenade, because if you swallow that with Feed the Void, Devour, you'll get an Arc Buddy. Well, actually, if you do, sorry, that's if you match that with Getaway Artist, but you'll get an Arc Buddy, and then you'll get the Devour Overshield. And so you have an arc and a solar, you're protected, and then Arcane Needle, the strand melee. And boy, even doing some of these harder encounters, like I've run through, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, the Dual Destiny a few times and other things, like I feel pretty tanky, more so than I felt in a while in other points in Destiny history. Any other Prismatic builds you all want to talk about? Or thoughts on that?
I think Prismatic's a lot of fun. Don't know that it's going to actually be the replacement for actual base subclasses and raids, though. I've been having a lot of fun with the basic Liar's Handshake build that's been around since ever, seems like, especially since the 3.0 rework. But now it's even better because you have Stasis combined with it. And Stasis got the Frost Armor rework. So super tanky, lots of resilience. It's just the loop of dodge, punch, dodge, punch. But now the dodge actually slows. The Stasis Shatter Crystals, especially with the Artifact mod, like when you shatter an opponent, they send out a shockwave flowing. So it's great for crowd control. You throw in Duskfield with it, like very good for crowd control. Curious to see how it's going to work out in in-game content. But I really haven't got really messed with the other aspects and builds of Prismatic. That's what I was going for. That's what I unlocked, and I haven't changed off of it.
I mean,
What
tonight
about
I
the
just
new Super too? Oh yeah, anyone can go on that.
oh yeah, that's kind of what I've been running with my Titan is the Twilight Arsenal Super with Prismatic with Syntheseps and Consecration and the what is the melee, the strand melee that you get like you get 3 melees of it. So I have 3 Consecrations, and if you get that rolling, you can wipe out a whole group of ads in a hurry with that. So, and Twilight Arsenal is fun. It can take down a boss in a hurry.
Yeah, same. I really enjoy that.
Used the hunter super a few times. I haven't really. I don't want to give like much judgment on it yet. I kind of don't like it.
Well, that's what some people were saying, and I was personally thinking ahead of time without actually, we got to experience it to be fair, but it seemed like the new Warlock and new Titan one were at least a little more interesting, and the Hunter one didn't seem as good. So if you're saying that is your initial thoughts too, then that's interesting to
Right.
hear.
It's very like it's instant cast essentially, but it's you cast and then there's a brief delay and then you're there attacking and then you have to constantly keep moving. There's no like run around with it then teleport kind of thing, big sweep attack. It's like instantaneous. It drains super quick. It's not. I don't know. It's just not good, in my opinion, so far. Like I haven't
Yeah.
really tested it, but first impressions and early impressions, probably not something I'm gonna run.
Mm-hmm. And the Warlock one, it's pretty good. I don't know if it's going to be meta for like harder high-end things, and it does kind of last a while, which is good and bad, right? So because quicker supers that are one and done can, like the Strand super or even Nova Bomb, which isn't as good, it did get a buff. But this one does do good damage output. It's just it takes a while. But of course, other things are going on at the same time. You're basically making everyone radiant, I believe, and your weapons at least. And you and nearby allies will regenerate abilities more quickly while you're in it. So it is a thing. I think it's pretty good. It's definitely like a B, A minus level type thing, and then we'll see how much I end up using this in the long run. But I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And the axe, the Titan one, sure looks like fun.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
saved us tonight, Kingsley.
No, the new Warlock one and the new Titan Super. The little bit of PvP I have played are both a nuisance. And it's
They
mainly
knew
like
the Titan one for sure would be, right? And is the
So-
Warlock one like that too?
Warlock one's interesting. I haven't encountered it as much,
Hmm.
but it's still very like if you and your teammates are running with that same Warlock, cast that super, there's nothing stopping them.
Yeah, the team.
It is just because I don't exactly know what the super does for sure, but if it's giving everybody radiant by being close to them, I don't know if it gives off any healing or what it does, but it's especially in sixes.
It does tons of stuff. So yeah, that's why. Yeah.
And then the Titan one really isn't bad per se because the duration isn't long enough to make it. I mean, all that's happening is they're throwing the super, they're getting the 3Xs on the ground, and their teammates can pick those. They're just going to throw them. They're not going to run around and swing around, like try and hit you with it. They're just going to throw it at you.
No. Yeah.
The problem PvP comes down to even if you kill the Titan that casts the super, the axes are still there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I had that. That doesn't surprise me.
So that's where that becomes a problem, is because like, oh, you killed him. He got 2 of the like throws of the axe off. So there's 2 of them still there. Well, they can run up and get them after he's been killed and throw them at you still. Like, I think the duration of PvP is a little.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess one more reason why people would be worried about that, or maybe just go into a gun only playlist or something. All right. We could talk about more prismatic if anyone has stuff later, but let's move on to just real quick some of the after missions, the exotic missions, because this is what was coming right away, especially week 1. We kind of hopped right into Destined Heroes. That's how we got our first Urgo Sun drop, the sword. That was a funny Sabathoon thing, which is part of the story with all this after stuff. Like, oh yeah, what's Sabathoon doing with us? But a really interesting, somewhat gimmicky, but somewhat fun quest where we're just kind of matching sword elements and shooting runes in the sky. Urgo Sun, I wasn't paying attention ahead of time, realizing I think I heard there was going to be different versions of it, but yeah, all these elemental versions of the sword. I've only used it a little bit. I have the Void. I want to get the Void Telesto one, but I have the Void shootout one. Any comments on Urgo Sun or cool drops that you have?
I haven't tried it personally yet.
Oh, I've got some interesting bolts from it.
I've gotten mostly Arc and one Void. I think I got a Solar to drop tonight that wasn't too flashy, but I got an Arc one tonight that'll create a lightning storm. I haven't tried it yet, but it says it'll create a lightning storm.
And they drop pretty easily going forward because you can get them through the Pathfinder thing, or you can get them through other quests.
Before overthrows, you can drop them. Yeah.
And so Bungie seems to kind of want to give us this, and there's some other things in the artifact that match with sword stuff, but
so many.
I don't know yet also if sword's going to be like a meta in a lot of things.
Right.
Unless people saw people doing that in the raid, which we'll get to, but
we have 5 different frames for the sword. Aggressive, lightweight, wave frame, which is new, caster frame, and vortex frame. So all of them interesting. You have the 3 base element types, Void, Solar, and Arc. And then the exotic perk of each one, it's all like unique Destiny weapons, right?
Yeah.
So Unplanned Reprieve. Sorry. Insectoid Robot Grenades, which is the colony, which will be on Void. Unplanned Reprieve, which is Telesto, which is on Void. You have Stormbringer, which is the effect of... What's that sniper? Well, I guess it's also on Thunderlord too, where it calls down a lightning storm. Why can I not think of that sniper?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name either now.
All right, anyways.
Anyone in the chat, let us know.
It's right there, and I just drawn a blank. Cloud Strike.
Thank you, Bell.
Bell.
Yes, good games.
Art Conductor. Risk Runner.
Yeah. Yeah, I
have
that one.
Those on lightweight. It's so much fun. Perfect Fifth, which is Solar. I can't. Why am I drawing a blank on what gun that's from?
Polaris Lance.
Thank you.
Polaris Lance, yeah.
I don't always know Destiny, but when I do.
You speak up like you should.
Sacred Flame, which is also Solar. That's Tiku's Divination, which is interesting. Gathering Light, which is Traveler's Chosen perks. And then Wolfpack rounds from Gallimore. That one's kind of interesting. And that one, the Gathering Light and Wolfpack rounds can go on any of the 3 elements.
Yeah, there's a lot to check out with there. And generally, I mean, I like swords at times. I remember having fun with it. And we actually had a meta encounter with Craft the Machine where we would do swords on the final boss for the final part. We've had a few other things in some dungeons and raids, but generally I don't like using a sword just out and about doing things. So unless there's some huge reason we're finding out to use swords, these are just going on in the vault for me so far.
Yeah. I have a Void one with this aggressive frame and Wolfpack rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly pretty interesting because you hit that heavy attack and you switch back to light attacks, and you just see these random missiles just essentially they make the Galahorn sound, like howl. So you hear this constant howling going off, and like the sound they make. It's neat.
All right. And then, oh, by the way, we didn't mention this at the beginning, but everything's on the table tonight, what we're talking about. So if you have not run the story all the way through, spoiler warning right here. Next, I wanted to get into the wild card exotic mission where you get the still hunt weapon.
Mm-hmm.
This was an amazing, fun exotic mission.
Yeah.
And
I think
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's one of the best exotic missions we've ever had.
Yeah, one of the best for sure. I put it up there.
I mean,
dialogue
some
between
of them,
Crow and Cade.
Yeah. Some of the mission itself was kind of boring, but the cinematics we got from it was, and the dialogue between the two was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And Cade basically says at the end that he endorses Crow being the Hunter Vanguard.
Knew it was coming.
We pretty much knew that'd be coming, but they did this in a pretty good way. Running the weapon, how much have you run it, Kato? It seems like you'd be the most likely to test it out more than us.
It's definitely going to be good. Like, I haven't made a build around it yet. I haven't got that far. The little bit I've got to play with it has been great. It's definitely kind of weird. Like, to me, it has a little high of zoom being a sniper, but it's so good.
Yeah, and those not remembering, this is that exotic sniper that basically acts like a golden gun shot. Now, how often or how does that proc or work again?
So you have to land 6 precision hits to charge it.
Okay.
Then hold a reload, and then it gives you your single burst. Or then it'll give you your 3 rounds of golden gun.
Okay.
But since it synergizes with Celestial, this is why, like I said, I haven't tested yet, and I really need to. But it's putting out numbers. It's not quite as much as Celestial, but it's close.
So
Very,
it's
very
definitely
close.
A potential good weapon to keep in our arsenal.
It's definitely, and it's twofold too, because not only you can land those 6 precision shots or hits, but also picking up orbs of power will charge it too. But I don't remember what the orb amount is. Yeah. So you can passively charge it up by just getting orbs or just landing your shots. So
I'm assuming you say when you got to get precision hits, it's with the weapon, not other weapons, right?
Yeah, okay. It has to be with the weapon. Correct. Sorry.
It'd be crazy if it was with other weapons.
Oh, God.
You imagine what that would. Talk about
broken. Yeah, I mean, you're just getting primary kills with like your hand cannon or whatever, and then swap over to it.
Exactly.
Which I think one of the cool things about this is this was something Cade made specifically for the Guardian. Like that's pretty cool. Like, this wasn't just an exotic weapon we got by doing something. This was a weapon made specifically for the Guardian.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really talk about the story. There's too much to talk about, but I mean, Cade has been a big part in the story, and then there's stuff that happens at the end we'll talk about, but we have to really give appreciation to how he came back. They did it in such a good way, such a interesting way too. I do want to talk about one point. We find out that Crow wished him back and yoinked him out of his heavenly traveler existence.
Slumber, yeah.
Good going, Crow. But it was good that we had Cade back.
Yeah, just
help us out, and
I just want to know if they're ever going to tell Zavala and Ikora that, because that never really got told to them on why he.
Yeah.
I guess it's pointless now with what
Well, they
happened after the
thought-
12-man mission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they thought like Cora and Zavala are both under the impression that it was the Traveler that brought Kate back. So
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what they don't know doesn't
Crow-
matter. It's fine.
Yeah. Crow and Cade are only two that know what happened besides you, the Guardian. So
I mean, it is a bombshell, but honestly, and especially after the fact, I don't think it matters as much. But I don't know why it would have to make that big of a deal to them. Would they be just? They seemed. I almost wonder if Ikora would have been less upset. She seemed really like upset when she first saw Crow. Like this is like a trick that someone's playing. But if she knew that Crow wished this, I'm like, oh well, then it's a thing. That's why it happened. So that's the ironic thing is maybe they wouldn't have taken it that bad, but we just don't know now.
right.
So
But I get why they said like, oh, don't tell anyone, and this is how it happened. It was an interesting story to us, at least.
So some information about the sniper that I didn't
Okay.
actually even know. When you rally with it, it'll also charge the sniper super.
Oh, okay.
Did not know that.
Hmm.
And in PvP, if you die, you do not lose the supercharge on it either.
That's cool.
Whoa.
And it is 12 orbs. So either 6 crits or 12 orbs. The chaining potential is just absurd.
Yeah.
Especially with the way supers work now. So like 6 crits, you fire off a really high damage shot, especially running Celestial.
Imagine if we would have had that also when we were doing Nezi.
Mm-hmm.
At least as far as backup after our heavy, or even as our main thing if it was really good.
I think it's. I haven't seen actual numbers on it, but oof, it's a lot of damage. I can see that.
Yeah. All right. There is also the microcosm, and we found out how to get that. We have to do the 3 cooperative quests on the harder mode that are on the node and the director on the map to get that. And these are quite interesting. I've only done one. I know a few of you have completed all 3.
Yeah.
Have you done any of these, Sin? Even one?
I
of them?
have
I'm
not
trying to
yet.
remember.
I want to, but I haven't yet.
I know Kato
I
has. I
haven't.
was just trying to get. Rodimus, you've done them though, right?
I didn't catch
Oh,
what we're doing.
Oh,
What
the cooperative hard missions you go back and do to get the microcosm.
I did all 3.
Yeah. What'd you think of that? You had to pass the buff back and forth and everything, and
I thought it was nice. I thought it made you stick together. You can't be carried, essentially. You definitely
Really?
can't.
Yeah.
I think what they did is that some of that stuff they're trying to prevent the carrying services to make money off the game finally. Like so, because if you don't know what you're
Well, I
doing, you're not getting through without being you can't be carried. I mean, you can be carried, but you have to have some knowledge of what's going on.
yeah. So they may have even done it also just to do something new and unique and interesting. This really is interesting because people have to work together more than ever before in new ways.
And I think you have to do it with 3 people too. I don't think you can do it 2.
Pretty sure Ed
I-
and Bell did it with 2.
Yeah, you can do it too. It's just harder with 2.
Yeah. The buff works a little differently. I heard.
Okay.
But you want to do it with 3 because it doesn't scale more with 3, and you're stupid not to if you can find a third.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And did you do all 3, Kato? I believe you got it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
How's the gun? I need to get. This is the only thing left I have to do. The gun looks amazing.
I haven't personally used it. Like,
I haven't used it either. Bell loves it.
I have a still hunt. Like,
Well, there's a lot, and yeah, and Kava stuff now too. Everything's so many exotics competing, but I feel like there could be times too where this would also, especially if you're like a cleanup person in a room or something like that, this could be very, very useful.
well, even from what I've seen, like running with Bell or Ed or anybody else that's been running it, it puts out some pretty good damage too.
Uh-huh. and gets through shields. And then Soccer, someone today was saying in the Discord that it works really good on the subjugators or something. It takes them down like really quick.
Subjugators and tormentors.
And tormentors, okay. So there you go. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting it.
One of these days for me.
One of these days. Yeah, you still need that 2 cent?
I do.
Okay. We'll get it done. There's so many things that have been dropping one after another. I think after this second week, it'll calm down a little bit so people can loop back and do all the things. Next, kind of in the timeline in the order, is the raid came out Friday, and no issues as far as I could tell with servers or anything. People got in, and we found out pretty quickly this is a tough raid. We were 4 or 5, how many hours before even the first group passed the first encounter?
19. Oh, our first encounter? I thought it was 19 for the whole thing.
I know, but I want to say like it was 4 hours at least, 4 or 5 before any first group passed the first encounter.
That sounds about right.
And once we started seeing that, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be a tougher raid.
Last Wish all over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so 19 hours. I mean, we were, some of us were watching it throughout the day and then going to bed. And I even stayed up kind of late my time. I'm mountain time, so but even still, I went to bed like around 2 or so, and I didn't have anything to get up to early. And people were just starting to get to the last encounter. But no one wanted to stream it, even if they were already streaming. I guess they were so worried about stream snipers or people finding out what to do. So people were shutting off their streams when they got to the last encounter, or putting some weird overlay. It was.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Salta Greppo ran without comms.
Yep. Until the world's first happened, he had no comms and had his screen blurred out.
Yeah.
Had all buffs and debuffs and things, and just which to me, I think is bullshit. Like, if you're streaming for that long, at that point, it doesn't matter. Like, you have viewers that are there watching you do this and are there to support you. And then you pull some bullshit where you start blurring things out, where you cut all your comms, so all they're getting is just video. Like, no, man.
I think Kato did the same thing, didn't he?
Oh, I heard everyone was doing it. At least the
Yeah,
teams.
pretty
Now,
much.
The team that won didn't stream at all, and that's different. You don't have to stream to get world's first, but like you said, the people are streaming all along, and then this last encounter, I'm like, come on.
Right.
And it didn't even matter for them because someone else won it,
Right.
Yeah, then the team that won it turned around, took a new player through, added somebody dropped, added a new player, and then beat it again to finish 8th. So they had first and 8th.
Well, with that being said, it was the smallest amount of contest mode clears ever. I think I saw like 0.03% or something like that.
It was
Well,
0.03.
that's absurd. Just tell us. I can look up the numbers somewhere, but
I can see it. Like, comparatively on other contest mode raids, this one came out 3 days after expansion launch, right? So I know for me, I didn't take the time off work for this expansion, so I wasn't even close to being like in kind of thing.
Right.
I didn't have any of the exotic quests done. I had barely finished the final, the campaign itself on Legend, and it's just like, so for your average player that didn't take the time off for this expansion, there was no way you were going to be ready to jump into it.
Yeah. And even showing that the teams that were winning and getting this done, they were even spending multiple hours in the first encounter. So if you're not one of those teams, you're spending all day in the first encounter.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not that long, but it was insane.
Yeah.
That being said, I guess we'll hop in it at some point. Sen, you're going to figure this out and sure post all.
Oh man, I watched a little bit during the streams and such. but it was definitely intense. And I don't know. I'll be in the same boat. I'll be waiting for you to Sherpa me.
No, I'm not. Look, I want someone to Sherpa me the first time. I do not want to. I do not want to be stressed with this new raid. Like I said, my capstone was doing Pantheon. When someone gets around to figuring out this raid, I'll join up. But
Speaking of that, I am still disappointed I missed out on Godslayer. But I had a really good run that last day and a half.
Yeah, you got the hard
So,
stuff done.
Nezzy was definitely tough. I spent, I'm sure as everybody else did, the most time in that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even hopped into the raid. I have not done anything with it. I think I was more focused on trying to get everything else done to even
Same.
worry about the raid.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, for sure. There's sons. Yeah.
and
That alone
honestly,
with us Aaron, it's really hard. It's like I don't want to hop in it yet. There's other fun things I'm doing. I don't want to hop in the raid yet.
right, I'd rather be having fun doing all this other stuff instead of banging my head against the wall for hours and hours and hours. And honestly, I think part of that for me too was Pantheon. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I know helping send out that last week, trying to get that done. Just and then the 4 weeks prior to that for me was just I was at my limit. Like
hmm
I needed mindless story content instead of jumping into a new raid to figure it out. Now I'm not
Yeah, I
saying that
think-
I'm not going to jump in and do it, but
I think they should have kept Pantheon going forward, right? So, because there wasn't that many people that cleared it. I think they Bungie themselves tried to cram too much stuff in a 2-month time period, and it was just too much. And especially if you had the casual player, if you're going to think about the casual player, there's no way in hell they're getting that done.
No, it was rough.
I do agree with that statement, kind of. I think the time to earn the title should have been that 4 or 5 weeks. But I think they should have kept it in because it was so much fun to do. And it's a great way to get some of those more difficult encounters in those raids accomplished. Like,
Mhm.
like you said, if you're thinking of the casual player, they should have left it in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully they'll bring some version of it back, but they could have kept it all in all.
Right.
And what you're saying, I feel the same way. It's like burnout. People mean burnout in so many different ways. Like sometimes I shake my head when they say like, "Oh, I don't want to play the game too much. I'll get bored." But like, well, if there's fun stuff in the game, you never will get bored if they're introducing new stuff. Like, but burnout to me means if I'm doing hard stuff and I'm focusing and it's slightly frustrating or a lot of mental work or what Pantheon was, that's a burnout where it's not like I'm not playing the game. I'm still playing the game, but I don't want to do the hard stuff. I just want to do the menial stuff for a while.
Right.
Well, the other thing too, you got to think about. Typically, an expansion comes out in February, not
Mhm.
summer.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. Is for me, this time of year is one of the worst because it's like where I work, it's the busy time. And it's fucking hot. It's a weld shop, and then it's the middle of summer. Like today, it only got to, I say only, it was 101 degrees today.
Oh.
And
That's
it
rough.
felt, at one point when I looked, it was 97 degrees and felt like 106. I was like, no, this is bullshit. Like, so
Yeah.
for me, it's it's that time of year where I get home, I may hop on, I may not. So I sure as hell don't want to start a raid in the middle of the week.
Yeah. I still need a mental reset even from Pantheon. I want to just go on a drive to some national park around here just by myself and just go on some hikes and stuff. But the new expansion came out, so of course I want to check it out. But maybe in a week or two, if things slow down a little bit, I can still, do a little
Disappear.
vacation. Disappear. I won't like totally disappear, but I just need to get out. I feel like I've been inside too much. I just need to
Right.
get out to nature.
Yep, I feel that.
All right. And if anyone wants to add anything on these points, just butt in or loop around at the end. After the raid, when it was cleared, the Excision mission came out, which was the true story finale. And this was the 12-person activity, as was rumored, and with tons of cutscenes and dramatic, like like Lord of the Rings storm the castle, and superhero, like everyone teamed together and let's get the bad guy, dramatic stuff.
Did anybody else get like in-game vibes?
Yes, Endgame. That's what I was. Mhm.
Like Avengers Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, where have I seen this before?
Everybody shows up. Let's kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't think they could have done it any different or better. You can say it as like amazing, emotional, cheesy, all at the same time, but it was great. It was good for it being something that everyone needed to experience, like basic player all the way up through good player. Doing this as a 12-person thing, and the way they did it probably was the best way they could have done it. And we're still playing the game, and there's still things out in the game, but this is kind of how we knew it was going to happen. It is the end of the Light and the Darkness saga. We killed the Witness, but that story is done, and that's how they did. And I think they did a pretty good job with it. I don't know what they could have done better. I mean, I noticed with having 12 people on the map, those arenas can barely handle it. Some people were noticing lag. I wasn't really, but Bungie, they really pushed themselves with this, especially on old gen too. And
yeah,
12 people, Sin, did you get any tears when you
Oh my God, Cade. As far as the mission, though,
what happened?
Well, as far as the mission itself, though, I think it was done really well. It was complex, a lot going on. I think it was a good conclusion to the story. And then, man, losing your ghost, and then Cade just saying, "I got you,"
right?
And he wants to go out on his own terms and resurrects our ghost. He definitely hits you in the feels.
Still want our ghost to have both voices of Cade and our regular of the ghost. I would wish that would happen at some point.
Oh yeah,
it would be nice.
Yeah,
be cool.
Be cool. Yeah, no, that all was cool, and then they just kind of, it's a way to end it, but then we learn what happens afterwards. Like echoes of the Witness, even though he's dead, lands down into different planets, and of course we have cleanup. We kind of knew this was going to happen, and that's how we lead into the seasonal stuff, which I'm not going to get to yet. We'll do that at the end if we still have time. But I don't know. The mission was really good. I thought it was going to be a thing where like, oh, the mission would be like maybe a little more advanced or have a harder mode. Although we did learn something today, but they do, let's say, go back in and you can get Pinnacle. So there is reasons to go back in it, but there's not really. It's kind of one of these things. If we've done it a couple times, I can't see it being that interesting.
Right.
Going in it again. It's fine. It's good, but it's like almost boring too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It is definitely kind of a fun activity just to go do. But like you said, it's not something you're just want to. There's nothing to really farm from it. So there's that.
Unless you really need pinnacles.
Unless you really need pinnacles. But again, I'm not saying this is good. I'm happy. I like to give opinions all the way around. This is still, with all these things, I'm saying 9 for the overall feel for everything. But I'm curious if anyone else loved the mission so much. Let us know, and you're hopping in it again and again. Besides pinnacle reasons.
It was cool. I mean, if you didn't get it, it makes it good if you redo it for the cinematic and get a nice little screenshot for your computer or whatever, your background.
The ending, that was really cool. Like sitting back, I'm assuming it's the helm, just sitting there with your ghost staring at the purple triangle.
And you can have at least up to one other person with you. We haven't tested if we can have 3 or more. You can have 3? Okay.
Yep.
That's cool.
I've seen pictures with 3, but nothing greater.
It'd be
Can
cool if you
you
get a
bring a group in that's more than 3, and then what would happen?
I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll have to figure it out.
I know Kato was curious. We were almost trying to get a big group in there. Especially
Maybe
if
that's
we can
why
get
we
more
didn't
than
get. Well,
6.
we did get more than 4. Maybe that's why we didn't get the cinematic at the end.
Oh yeah, we did do that. Okay.
you know,
So
responsibility.
much stuff has been going on these last few days. All right. Let's get to all the patrolling stuff, the Pale Heart, after little submissions quests. Because also this place is pretty cool. I don't know if any of you had this kind of feeling. I know I did with I remember this exactly with Forsaken too. You complete the story, the first part, and you do the first part of that first exotic quest, and then you go back to the map and like boom, 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 like all these things are lighting up on the Pale Heart map. This overthrow quests, zones, everything, the regional chests, and this is somewhat what we get with expansions in new areas, but we haven't had anything close to this for quite a while. I mean, if you think about our last few zones, I mean, the Witch Queen one was kind of good, but definitely not Neomuna, right?
Right.
No. And this one was awesome. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a lot of stuff to do. And sure enough, we do.
And it's still going.
It's still going. I mean, overthrows, the quote public event stuff. We're in here as one person unless you specifically go with the fire team, or there's one zone each day that you can do overthrow with a match made of 3. But it kind of makes sense to be in there on your own a lot, and somehow it works out. There
Yeah.
is, I think just today I ran into one other new thing that I haven't done yet. I don't know how many little activities there are in each zone, and I've gotten a lot of repeats too, but generally I feel like, okay, I don't like to be an overthrow if I have to, like get to level 4 again. But if I don't
Right.
really have to, and I'm just zoning out, I love it because there's always different things going on.
Getting the 4
It's
ain't
good.
nothing anymore because you kind of know what
It's
it is.
No.
but
So
I just feel like, again, it's like if I have to, it's like, oh man. But
Yeah, if you have to do it, it's kind of unfortunate.
Right.
But if you're just doing stuff there, it just happens so naturally. It's not like it's very well done.
yeah. Amazing zones, amazing activities, very lively, going back and forth, lots to do. And of course, all the little after, I don't know if we really call them, they are missions. They're not like the exotic quests, but the light and dark things, the finding the ghosts, I think on the Triumph screen, they're called pursuits or whatever, but we can call them missions. But there is tons of stuff to do. Like, we have to find all these ghosts, and just a little tip for anyone, you can pick up that Into the Dark quest pretty much unlimited times, but you want to do it at least 12 times because you have to do it 12 times, even though there's only 6 assists, but you got to do it 12 times to get the 12 paranormal ghost things. I found out even just today.
You talking about the keys?
No, that's something else even. But each, the ghost that goes around in a circle and you shoot the light in the dark block.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get that for each Into the Dark quest that you complete. And there's 12 ghosts to do the paranormal things on, so you got to do at least 12 Into the Dark quests. And each time you do an Into the Dark quest, you find the ghost, then you do overthrow, then you do assist, and then you turn the ghost back in, and then you have a paranormal ghost that you can find where you do the light in the dark.
And
Haven't got that far.
That's what I'm currently working on now. So
yeah. So there's other reasons to do these things. There's so many reasons. Kvostov. Holy cow. This is like, it can be confusing because there's a legendary version, there's an exotic version. Look up guides, but I just want to say real quick, the legendary version, we found out we have to get these encrypted bits, right? And we first found out we get, what was it, 9 to the regional chest? I forget the number.
Yes, 9 for the regional chest.
And then the other 6 are in the 6 cysts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was annoying to me because I found that out after the fact, and having to redo the cysts were a little annoying.
So I actually learned something too,
Yeah.
because that was brought to my attention that there was the 6 in the cyst.
Mhm.
Well, you have to be a certain step in the
Yes.
into the dark to be able to get the bits or the encryption, whatever, from the cyst.
Yeah.
So now I have to actually go back through and figure out which ones I'm missing.
You can't
I'm
just
in
go
that
to the,
boat.
you can go to the cysts, but if they're not procced the way where it does it with all the enemies, the way the quest procs it, then you're not going to be able to get to certain spots a lot of times to get those encryption bits. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. And then when you complete each one of those, it also does the paranormal ghost thing too, which I think I remember at first saying you were thinking we could just go and do that, but no, it not until the quest puts a circle on the map telling you're allowed to do it. Because
Yeah.
then what happens is you get another little mini circle on the ground and you commune and then you shoot the blocks and then do that. So I'm not like totally upset with this. It's kind of like we're trying to figure this out as a community or figure it out organically by yourself. But it is a little annoying going back into the cysts over and over again for multiple reasons. Like if you didn't get the encryption bits, or if you didn't do all the paranormal ghosts yet, you got to go back into those cysts. So just plan on that, people, to get it all done.
Well, even though you have to do the cysts in 4 minutes or less for the title.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I don't know if I'm going to care about this title personally, but yeah, if anyone wants it, you got to do that.
I think you're gonna have to. You won't be able to do it by yourself. I think you're gonna have to have a fire team
Yeah.
I've done 2 by myself, but yeah, some of them
in
like
4
that
minutes.
moth one. Holy, I have 2 checked off. I think.
And
Yeah,
moth
some
one
of
I
those-
did earlier.
Important.
Fuck the moth one. All right.
The moth,
That
yeah,
moth
that
one,
one.
yeah. Do that one in
Titan
under
bubbles.
4 minutes. Holy shit.
Good luck.
I think
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be bad. It's like the Nightmare Hunts on the Moon time trials. Right? You know,
They were hard at first.
right, and then I never did them to begin with, and then it was you and Sin and we all went back and did them. Like, they weren't really shit to do.
No.
Pretty
Yeah, the
much.
Slayer and the Syrian Light one, those ones are pretty easy to do solo in under 4
Yeah.
minutes. But
Like the sword
the
one.
moth one or the sword one,
Yeah, the sword one's annoying too. It's
Aerial
because the
Ice, I
shield
would-
does. Yeah, the shield doesn't stay off long enough to actually damage them. Okay.
Smothering Darkness would be the hardest for me. I hate that BS where you
Oh,
gotta
that one's
use the
rough.
poopy things to get around.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just did that
Mm.
one tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see if I care about all those under 4, but
Yeah, I will at some point.
I
But
will
then
too, 'cause I want
for-
the title.
okay. And then for Kvastov Exotic, you got to do even more. But wait, there's more. So you got to get 8 travelers, which if you go to the speakers area in the old tower, but which is our new, landing zone here, it kind of gives you hints on where they are, and you can go find them on the map. And that's 8, and they give you motes of light for each one, so you have 8 motes of light there. And then you get motes of light from doing level 4 overthrow bosses. So more overthrow. If you've done it all together, good for you. If you haven't, you got to go back and do it. And of course, we all know, those of us who are doing the servitor or the meatball boss has been bugged until recently.
Yeah.
But I finally got that done today. Even when they supposedly fixed it on Tuesday, I've killed him a couple times, but just today it finally counted. I got my primeval version, but so there's 3 bosses for each zone, so 9 overthrow bosses you got to get done, a Molt of Light each respectively, to add on to the 8 from finding the travelers. And then you can get the exotic Kvastov, which I just barely got today because Belle was telling me it was so good. It's pretty fun. It's stable. It's since it's exotic, it just mows down all the red bar enemies and does pretty good even on the other ones, and has the ricochet rounds and everything. So I don't know if I'm going to main it, but I'm having fun with it right now.
I've been on Red Death the entire time.
We have some great comments from Drafty. Have we tried lancing the cyst? I mean, I would love to just do that, make it go quicker, and have they called Chef Boyardee to fix the meatball bug? I think they did, because it's finally fixed. Are you, Drafty, let us know in the chat if you hear this, if you've done any final shape, or if you don't even care. But it's a good expansion. One of the best ones in a long time.
Yeah. As Sam mentioned, Red Death is back.
Yes, Red
we
Death.
won't. We don't get the catalyst for it until a month or so away. I think it's a month out at this point. Somewhere in there,
Yep.
Maybe longer.
It's
It's
locked
always
behind Act 2 or 3 of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another change too to the season pass. With this being an Echo, it's in Act 1, 2, and 3. So our season pass reward track goes clear to 200 now.
Mm-hmm.
So we get rewards all the way up there.
Yeah. Yeah. One more thing on the main final shape, and then we could talk about seasonal stuff if we want tonight. But Dual Destiny mission that came out this last Tuesday, the week after. We kind of heard rumblings about it. We heard that you're gonna get a way to get these dual class item exotics in the second week, and it came out as like a secret mission, kind of old school style, like how Whisper. Not exactly like that, but people found out you have to do overthrow in all 3 zones, and there's extra bosses after level 4. Well, extra groups of enemies, and then a green light appears, and then you do things, and then you go into this cool mission. We were talking about earlier that exotic mission was really good. Yes, it was, but also Dual Destiny is like probably somewhere between 1 and 3 on my list right now of one of my favorite missions of all time.
It was good. Like, first time through, Belle and I ran it last night, and it's like he started to explain the encounter. I kind of zoned out, didn't really pay attention to what he was talking about. But then after seeing it, it's like, okay, there's simple mechanics, but there's a lot going on for those mechanics. So it can be very chaotic.
And timed.
Yes, it is timed.
Yes.
It's timed, but it's easier than other timed missions because people don't be too worried hearing that. Each room
You
or
get
area has
plenty
a
of
timer,
time.
and you'll get plenty of time. And even if you're slow in one room, it resets for the next room. So
Yeah.
it's not.
We got
bad.
it done
I
on
think
run.
Yeah, really, where
So-
people will have problems in the last room if they die a lot. That's where you could run out of time, but
Yeah.
it's really not too bad.
How do you guys feel about the exotic class item?
Yeah,
Can't really answer
ahead.
that. I just got my first one to drop tonight, so
Well, I
Same.
don't know. Have you looked into the roles they get? Like,
the one I got.
I had the chart pulled up last night. I know some that I want to get. There's 60
There's-
different possibilities or something like that for each class, right?
I don't remember how
I got
many it is.
I got Severance and Star Eaters on my first one for my Titan.
Because they have a column 1, which 8 or so, and then column 2, 8 or so, and it can mix or match either way. So, yeah.
I'm looking.
Well, I just want to talk about the mission a little bit more. It's just so good. People try to experience this. Now, just to let you know, if you're not aware, to get this exotic class item, you have to do the mission once, and as only 2-player. You cannot go in 1, you cannot go in 3. But there's a reason for that. It's called Dual Destiny. The mechanics work with 2 people. There's 2 bosses. Everything plays into that perfectly. Once you get it done once, though, you don't have to go in again to get another roll. You can run around the Pale Heart, open chests. I got my first chest drop today. I don't know how many chests I opened up. I mean, an hour or 2. I wasn't like constantly opening up chests. I was doing other stuff at the same time. I wasn't trying to farm for another roll, but I did get one in a random drop today. But it's also worth going in again if you're helping a buddy who hasn't done the mission again, because you will get another guaranteed drop. Now, it may not be the drop you want. And with that, here's my feeling. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me what your opinions are. I've always been a big proponent of RNG stuff, but mostly like in raids, like you have an exotic weapon. There's one thing of it, right? With this, with having 60 different possibilities, give us a checkoff list. Even with that, we're going to put a lot of time into this. Like, if we get a different one every time and the one we want is roll 60 with a checkoff list, we still have to run the mission 60 times, or 60 1-hour averages of getting chests, through the Pale Heart. But I think this is just too much this time for pure RNG. What do you guys think?
Kind of in the same boat, but I'm kind of in the same boat with the Ergo Sum. Like, I just feel like it's too many possibilities.
And again, I'm usually fine with RNG. I'm not saying like I'm changing my mind with RNG in general or anything like that, but because this one's just kind of different. This isn't like a normal thing.
Right.
There's so many possibilities.
It's interesting.
Yeah, give us 69 rolls. That's what Drafty says.
I'm looking to see how many rolls there actually are. Somebody's done
I know
that.
the topics I've been going all over the place. We can talk about like roles you want if you had one in mind, Kato. I can tell
I
you.
do.
I real quick though, I want to tell you I got Busy Boy for Warlock. I got Assassin's Cal, and I haven't used it yet because I got to move things around with my exotics. But that's gonna be so weird being invisible as a Warlock, and then Battle Harmony. So we'll see how that goes. That's the one where Weapon Final Blows grant super energy, so it's a pretty good one. Those two together. Necrotic Grips looked good. I kind of wanted to get that with something.
I haven't tried it yet. I don't really have an opinion on it. But if it's that much combinations, I'm not going to farm them.
Yeah, I'm not worried or upset either way. Whatever will come, and they might change it down the road. This is just like a really bonus thing, I really doubt, even for like the raids of the higher activities, it's going to be like must have this class item with this and this role. Hopefully, people aren't going to do that.
Well, there's going to be a streamer who's going to pull that bullshit.
I think the big win for Titan Warlock classes in general is you guys now have Star Eaters. That is like a huge win on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some of these perks and the fact that it's only usable on Prismatic that it's kind of just a letdown. But they're like, for me, Gear Falcon's Hauberk, right? On Prismatic Hunter just seems like a waste. Want the perks of Gear Falcons? Just run Gear Falcon. It's just better on regular Void than it is on Prismatic. But some of these combinations, I really want. I want a Dragon Shadow, or 6 Coyote, or Wormhusk. That's going to be great for PvP. You have Shards of Galanor combined with Star Eaters. That's great. I think that'll wide interesting on Prismatic. That's very that's raid centric right there. And then the fact that hunters now have access to syntheseps. Like, okay. It's kind of it's gonna be interesting too.
Enjoy.
Don't threaten you with a good time.
Well, it's syntheseps didn't get the nerf that Liar's Handshake did with 1-2 punch. So there's that. There's some combinations that I really want, and then there's some that are just they feel like a waste, honestly.
Well, there's different ways you can play that. In a way, it makes sense. Like they can't make everyone really good because then they won't get people to grind for as much. And also, we won't appreciate the good rolls unless there's some bad rolls too. But then you could also say only give us good rolls and make the activity maybe even a little bit harder. There's different ways you can play that.
Yeah.
I just want to have a punch out list, and then I'll be fine. I'll eventually get a roll that I really want if they do that. Or maybe I will and I'll get lucky.
A punch out list would definitely be nice, but with it being a random rolled exotic armor, that'd be kind of I don't know how you really work that.
Well,
Or let
they
you
could
build
just
it
go down
and
the
you
list.
punch out the.
Yeah, like column 1. Oh, and then column 2, whatever they pick that's random, and they remember that, and then you just never have the 2 combinations again exactly the same.
Well, I think Rodimus was just getting at was a crafting option, right?
Yeah.
Well, definitely.
Oh, once you
if
earn
unlock
certain ones,
perk
you combine
1,
it together.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You know that's going to come down the road. That's cool. I love that idea. They better.
I think that'd be like the go-to option.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need the RNG to be able to craft those perks. But there's 18 for each class between column 1 and column 2. So if you ended up with some sort of combination of all those 18, that means unlock that exotic perk. That'd be great. But
Yeah. I love it. You heard it here. If they do that, we'll give all the credit to Rodimus.
You know they're not doing it.
no.
I think they might. Maybe not for a while. Maybe like way down the road or something. But
Yeah. Oh, that is something they did add with this new expansion is you could now make your exotics artifice.
oh yeah.
So you can
And I
take
did do
your
that.
exotic armor and give it a +3. It costs you glimmer and an exotic cipher, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I had one artifice already with this build, and then I turned my exotic artifice, and so that gave me a +6, which brought me over what I needed to. I was like a 5 something, and I got up to the next level.
Yeah.
I'm exactly on 100 for resilience, so it was perfect.
Nice.
Okay, those are my main notes for story. There's got to be more that you all want to talk about Final Shape. We can, if you want to talk about anything else, we can talk about seasonal stuff or save it for next week or whatever.
I really haven't tried anything in the seasonal stuff yet. I'm still trying to finish Pale Heart.
I mean, I have some notes on it, but we're an hour and a half in, so it's up to you all if we want to talk about it tonight or save it for next week.
I'd say why don't you save that for next week?
Seasonal, yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
next week might be light anyways with what's coming out in the game. So we'll give a bigger review on the seasonal stuff next week.
There are 2 things I want to touch on that are things coming and things that are already here. So the first one is Zur. We no longer have to hunt for Zur. He now has a vendor location permanently in the tower. And he got a massive rework. He has a vendor rank now that you can earn rep and rewards. There's a loyalty program. So you have to spend.
Card program.
Yeah, essentially.
Card rewards.
After you spend 47 strange coins, he will grant you access to a stack of strange favors. Favor is buff up for a bonus strange coin to drop anytime you earn a strange coin. While you can only acquire one per week, and it has an 11-day duration, if you keep earning a strange favor each week, you not only stack the effectiveness of the buff up to 3 times, you also refresh the duration. So, and that's his new currency, is strange coins. I say new, but that's the currency currently using in the tower, I should say. You can now buy exotic weapon catalyst from him. But that's only 2 per week, and they'll be random.
They will rotate, okay.
Yeah. They will contain older catalysts that are found through random drops prior to the Witch Queen. It will not contain catalysts that are currently associated with quest, exotic missions, season pass exotics, campaign exotics, pre-order exotics, raid exotics, or dungeon exotics. So only older world drop that you would normally get from like ritual activities. Exotic weapons. Instead of just 1 random exotic weapon each week, there'll be 3 random and he'll still have Hawkmoon for sale. So there's that.
Yeah, quite a change.
Weapons and armor. He'll still have the sets available, but he'll now also sell engrams that can yield any item in those pools at random. If you're trying to rank them up, I guess. Wild card offers.
Wild card offers.
I'm not really sure what that is. It's just random items. So that could be interesting. Material offers. Glimmer and other things. Okay, whatever.
I mean, thanks for reminding me and telling us all, because I remember hearing about that last week and I read an article on it. And even for someone like me that I don't normally care about Xur at all, I will have a reason to go and at least do that upgrade loyalty program or whatever.
Right? It's at least worth it.
I might have an old catalyst that I don't have yet, so I'll check that too.
Yeah. And this is all in the TWID too. They tell us about the new sword archetype, which is the wave frame, which is kind of cool. Trials, cosplay, all hail the Rat King, yada yada yada.
But maybe up higher, I was remembering this because I did read the TWID, the Excision mission, they're going to turn into a Grandmaster.
Yes. That was the other thing I wanted to touch on. Is I was looking for that actually. So Excision is the final mission, the 12-man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they recommend you can play it, however, whenever, like we were talking about. They do not recommend that you jump in to farm catalyst kills, level up weapons, or any of that.
Because the mission can barely handle itself as it is.
Exactly. Next week, on 18th, it'll have a Grandmaster version with some unique reward. They haven't said what. So I'm curious what that'll be. I'm hoping that doing the Grandmaster version will give us more exotic class items.
Yeah.
But whether or not that's going to be time efficient versus running the mission, I don't know. But those were the only 2 things that I wanted to touch on.
Yep. No, thanks for bringing that up. Because those are timely things too, and that is interesting news. The Excision mission. doing that. One little patch note, there's a huge list of bugs right now, but I found this interesting. Some Xboxes, they haven't told us what, I'm assuming the older gen, but they haven't specifically told us, are supposedly having thermal issues and erroring out when playing the game. I'm not surprised in a way with everything they're pushing in this final shape and the 12-man story and stuff. And then if we find out it's just the older ones, it kind of pisses me off because that could happen to PS4 also. I'm like, why haven't they kicked the old gen to the curb yet? But whatever. They will eventually.
Oh, this is interesting. Just kind of like brief your reading through some of these known issues. Powered melee kills do not trigger on kill effects when necrotic grips is equipped. Interesting. Void Hunter, Trapper's Ambush, Smoke Bombs no longer trigger invisibility. That's a problem. Man, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, we won't go through them all, but the some are pretty interesting. And there's been long lists like this before with other expansions.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we remember, but definitely look through this because there could be some things that could be affecting you. I know there was it the necrotic grips one, but there was another pretty crazy. Oh yeah, prismatic warlocks who equip Phoenix Dive, which is a lot of us, and no other strand abilities. Now I am doing the strand melee, and I do recommend that. But in case you're not doing strand for anything, will cause targetless threadlings to no longer remain on the player.
That's some bullshit.
I mean, I guess I mean,
especially if
Heat
you're gonna build,
rises.
if you're gonna build into it.
yeah. Heat Rises was having an issue. Yep.
Yeah, will not activate for players while gliding. Transcendence Wells reset Mothkeeper wraps special grenade. That's annoying. Huh.
So just check it out, people. You can in our Discord. Again, it's a little shout out for our Discord, but we have a Destiny help area. You can also check out the TWID by going to bungie.net and looking it up that way. Ask around if you're not sure about something. Post in our Discord, and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Absolutely.
All right, final thoughts. RNG, anything else you wanted to talk about? I know we all kind of say, yeah, we like this, it's good, but any other things tonight you wanted to talk about or final thoughts on Final Shape?
Trying to think. I mean, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I got so much to do and everything. Haven't had that since like Forsaken. This feeling like that with so much new to do and everything. I mean, I can't think of nothing else. Right now, I'm enjoying it.
Rodimus, has this been the best expansion since you've started playing Destiny?
I'm gonna say yes. Just the story in general is worth it. There's so much to do that it's gonna keep you occupied for at least, I'm assuming, the casual player a month or two. Your diehards will probably have it done in a week or two after everything's going on. But yeah, no, it's definitely much better than Neomuna. But I'm one of those weird people. I actually enjoyed that story. So
I didn't mind the story either. I didn't like the missions as much, actually.
Yeah.
I did. It wasn't much the missions on Lightfall. It was the characters that you got introduced to.
The characters.
One
Nimbus
particular.
helped us out in Ascension. Don't
hey,
you
leave
talk bad
Nimbus
about
alone.
He flew his
Everyone
little
serves
hoverboard around
purpose.
and he said something and he helped us out somehow. I don't know how, but he helped us somehow.
Point Break could do whatever he feels like.
Sid, any final thoughts?
Not really. I think we covered a lot of the basics, right? Good story. There's a lot to do. The
There
damage
is.
gating sucks.
That
Mhm.
sounds good. Yep. Yeah, we'll potentially have a lot to do. I'm very intrigued with the pacing of the episode and the acts. We'll talk more about that next week. It looks better than I was first expecting, but also long term. Oh, I guess we got to talk about this because they told us we can talk more if we find out more about it. But Destiny Frontiers They gave us a video about the different episodes coming out this year, which they usually don't tell us ahead of time that much. So some people were kind of like, oh no, they're telling us everything ahead of time. Well, not everything, but yeah, they're telling us the general story for each one. But then they're like 2025, the next thing after we get these 3 acts is they specifically said D2. So it's not Destiny 3, it's not Destiny Online, it's not any big new thing. It's going to be Destiny Frontiers. So what that means, my guess is a little more not pessimistic, but like lower than what some people would say. Like, I don't think it's even going to be an expansion. Unfortunately, they usually don't give code names for expansions. They will tell us a year ahead of time or whatever what the expansion name is. I think what it means is we're going to have maybe some cool episodes where we're doing something cool, Frontiers going out to space or something. But I personally think these next 2 years of Destiny will be more of a holding pattern while they're working on something new and big. That could be good, that could be bad. We don't know if they play the episodes well, but I'm trying to set realistic expectations for myself. Any other quick thoughts on Frontiers?
Intriguing name. That's about it.
Yeah. Just drop old consoles. That's all I care.
Yeah, if they, whatever they do, if just making more episodes or an expansion or a new game, whenever they can do that, we'll be in better shape.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out more as it goes along. All right. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone that was listening tonight in the chat, giving comments. We want to hear from you, even if you were not listening live, what you think of Final Shape. If you want to join our clan, we can make room for you. We tend to stay pretty full, but don't let that scare you away. If there's people that haven't played for a long time, we'll get you in and we'll make room for you. I know we already got our clan maxed out, right? I think.
Yeah, it's at 100.
I saw some notifications. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining tonight. We got RNG. Say hi, say bye.
Bye.
Love it.
You know where to find me.
Rodimus. Yes, yeah. I don't
Make
want
sure you
to ask
tell
it every time.
RNG to say hi, bye.
Well, that'll be your stick. Hi, bye. No.
Hi, bye.
Rodimus, well, I don't know what to say. Love having you here.
I get to talk Destiny here. So.
I know. I feel like you're the what are you? Not the CEO. You're the COO in our little group here.
The Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah, I guess technically center. I'm like the co-CEOs coming up with the original idea, and then what's Kato like? Operations manager. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I just see. Okay, so
security
shout
manager.
out. You guys had a fun show the other night. Where on Blueberry Lounge, and you were the judge. So I think that's why I was just kind of thinking.
Yeah, that was definitely fun. That was definitely interesting. Unfortunately, like Fluffy was supposed to be part of that too, but he had other plans, and I think that would have definitely put that over the top more than what it was. Putting Laz and Fudd in the same room, it's just you'll laugh so hard you might have to go put an adult diaper on because it's just like it's so much.
Yeah. So I do want to give shout outs, Owl Sector Alliance, Blueberry Lounge, listen to the latest episode for sure, because it is a lot of fun. There's a trial for Native Raider, and we won't tell you how it ends. You got to listen to the episode. Any other interesting things with what you have done with the latest DPS podcast?
We're supposed to release today, but our intro guy was a little busy today, so it'll be a little bit later than normal. We had Todd the Gator on, and talked a little bit about Destiny. It's the new hot thing right now. He had a response back to Kato about Discord etiquette, so wait for Kato to listen to that and see what he's got to say. But it was a good time. We had Gator had a response to your Discord etiquette show.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so you'll have to listen to it. I'm not going to tell you.
Same.
Yeah.
Hey, we have all these to be continueds, and I'm going to be a guest on the next Gator GDC on tomorrow as we're recording this. So maybe if I hear that episode, I'll have to hear it real quick before I go on GDC, and then I can add some more.
I don't. You won't get. I won't get it out in time. There's no way unless
no
I get
worries.
the intro the next hour.
But
I'm
we're also
playing
just telling
Destiny
people
instead.
listen to the listen to all the podcast in the All Sector Alliance.
Yes. We did 2 top 10s this week, so
Exciting.
and Bell was definitely triggered on the second one, so well,
Bell's
Isn't he always?
he was really triggered on this one. So
I'm
but
excited
we
to hear
did
it.
it was a good time. So we had a good time. Gator was relaxed and had a good time. So listen to that episode.
Awesome. Well, Kato, where can people find you? Anything you want to say to close out?
Discord. At me.
Lord, it is.
I'm around.
Mm-hmm. If you have an issue, talk to Kato. He'll get you helped out. And
Or
Sin,
won't.
or he won't. Yeah, I know things. We're busy right now, but funny enough, Sin's been on more lately than he ever has, and I don't know if it's going to stay this way. But we've been seeing you in the game a lot.
Yeah, a lot more recently. That is for sure. But you can find me all the places, mainly Discord. Like Kato, just at me. The best way. Kingsley, the final frontier. Take us out.
Is that like a Star Trek saying or something?
It is.
Sounds like it. Yes, you can find me as Kingsley Mac all the places. But hey, people, check out our website. Please do so if you haven't done that yet. If you're listening to this, please consider joining the Discord. Great group of people to talk to you if you have any Destiny questions, just want to chit-chat about other stuff. You're not sure what Discord is or how to join it, just go to our website, get all that information. Or if you want to join our clan. And what is that website, you may ask? The website is theguardianhub.com.
The best hub on the net.
Thank you, Sin.
Business
And
to a
thank you,
pleasure.
Rodimus, RNG, and Kato. Really appreciate recording tonight and everyone listening to this show. Thank you, everyone, and we'll catch you all again next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Later.